Good, how are you? I'm gonna show a little video. YouTube. Okay. Do you have the video name? Forward that to this. You just type it in. Do that real quick. Or I've got it on drive. Oh, I know. Oh, it's saved on the thumb drive then? Yeah. Yeah, let's do that one. Okay. Where? One has subtitles. Probably this one. So not playing audio. Weird. Let's Huh. Typically, we're supposed to leave this one off. It's not, yeah, because I can't turn that on. It's not working. Pop right on over. Make it been a little bit doing this in the dark. I mean, I'll be good for the back end. Okay. Right there. Good, good, how are you? Good. You're here for the right conditions? Yeah. Short, sweet. Short, lady. Pull these down, they look like, yeah, but hazard. Bro, anyway. My luck, be me standing there and then catch the back of my legs. Good summer so far. Yeah, it's been good so far.
chief of police here.
That one. The issue is. Here.
You also have like much more impressive spread than I've got.
So I'm trying to figure out.
Me.
Yeah. Okay, I think, yeah.
So
here, this is my big area. So I'm trying to figure out what the trend is.
yeah.
But it is hard to convey.
How are you doing?
I give the tech people the thumb drive.
Next budget year will be those con instructors. Yeah, one of the bunch that. After the new budget year. Talk to Hershey and see if he'll give me the green light to go be an alert instructor too. So it's kind of his baby. It's active shooter. Albert and I have got wanting to do it. I know Jekyll was interested at some point. So I was there Monday and saw him. He's holding up pretty good. And then Sawyer, the baby, is making some pretty big milestone. That was Jekyll's hope, but in talking with the staff, they're more optimistic that next week is more doable. So, but he's eating. They've cut pretty much everything off except for the oxygen. It's lost air. That's kind of scary, but lucky we have the I the son's preacher. Well, the greatest thing is I think maybe was more to the day almost. It was just something with platelets. Yeah, it was just one of those I don't think it's unexplainable, it just happened. So Idaho Falls. So you're saying his mom is in town, have with the other two boys. Oh, they're up here. And spirit of you.
Looks like running tissues.
So they sell pain transport tarmac. The baby would be cool and come back there with them. See everybody.
Yeah, did you know that Councilmember Walker isn't gonna be here today?
Yeah, he's got his cat. He's zooming in. Yes. So yeah.
Trying to get to this, right? So that first upload is correct. Just brings you to their co-pilot. So you have to. There, I believe. No, not there. Yeah.
No, that
It's
was
really annoying.
just a little louder. Please. Oh,
This is Matt. I don't watch Matt's.
Yeah,
I need to switch.
oh, Sam. I'll go rid of it. Yes, I don't think you can do very much. I had a cucumber. I cut up a cucumber.
Yeah, you got the icon on that view tab. All right. Good to see you. It's really annoying.
Maybe put my arm. Of course. Yeah.
Hoping this is. Yeah, a meeting tonight.
Look like. They know.
You.
Oh, that's the video. We can have it on the spot.
Read about this steel out.
Yeah. So I was trying to get the audio to work.
I don't know whether it's. The element done.
Yeah, I was
Easier
trying
to-
to see set it.
Oh, what is that?
School. But
Yeah, that one's.
Mariana?
Like, things are. Go on a little bit out. to the Temple.
Been out there, structure going up.
Looks like things. Few things are happening.
Yeah, there you go. These last weeks. They're good. I enjoyed that.
Oh, no.
Probably. Did you reconnect with any of your? I was down in Pocatello.
Saw a couple there, mayor and engineers was there. Council members.
Good.
I always enjoyed that. Yeah, I see me.
I know I was all ready to go, but then my son.
Had a good agenda.
Yeah. Was interested in that show.
Anything
New.
30 or new?
Living to raise a family and do the things that
One of the best things about Rexburg,
Yeah, do.
Corruption
Oh, I just
legislation.
fixed the audio so it plays this current year. So now we just gotta. Ready.
Expanding it into resort communities.
Yes.
Yeah.
Increasing
Yeah.
population on resort communities. And then doing a local option for cities. Counties wanted in on it. There was some controversy. Oh, did you get it on there? YouTube?
Yeah, we are right up there.
Here's a good question for you.
Good size local option.
You support long-term water storage in Idaho? Question for the age.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's
There's a thing on there about going on there. and
Especially
learning about
if the city also.
water storage. One of the options is to rebuild the Teton Dam.
I mean, if it's a local option.
We want to
general
be-
sales
Yeah.
tax, I could
We
see
need
that.
water storage.
Obviously in a different
Maybe.
form, right?
Well, yeah, oh, yeah.
Okay.
Same spot.
It could be in the same spot, it just, there's a matter of, the technology we that was 50 years ago, right? Technology we have now can see into the rock and, what the problem was with the water, was with whatever the problem was.
So that one's that one that until 6 out there.
There's a way, so it's a failure. I mean, obviously, we don't know that kind of thing, huh? What's that?
You.
So
Next year.
they sit there.
Yeah,
See
so-
legislation.
Yeah, that's crazy, huh?
They like Rich.
Yep. We're gonna do, next year, we're gonna be doing a 50-year kind of a commemoration thing. It's not really like a celebration. It's a commemoration, and it's really more focused on the recovery efforts than it is
Secretary of State's office.
itself, but.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Ritz. Rick
One
Cannon.
of these two. This is a. We're,
That came out.
we're
Like you were
promoting, long-term water storage and
It's like next to kin.
would be to
Well,
looking at possibly rebuilding Teton. Yeah. To try to get it.
her campaign, she ran
Yeah.
against.
To need it. We need it for water storage, we need it for flood control, we need it for generation. Obviously, whatever they did wrong, they wouldn't do it that way. That was 50 years ago. A lot of new technology, you know, that they can use now to better. So
Hey, was I supposed to tell us?
you have to call.
So should I have?
Oh, to get on the agenda? Well, no, we have that little, you know, that little time to talk right at the start. Assuming you're gonna talk about the golf course thing. Looks like, yeah.
Man, good, how are you? How are you?
For you? Everybody else in the. Let's see, Robert, Eric, let's see, I think Reese's coming, isn't he? I didn't hear him. What me? Mike was gonna try to zoom in, I don't know.
He's planning on it, Mayor.
Mayor, have you considered a letter of support?
Oh, yeah, we're looking at all that stuff.
He said he was gonna
We
try.
just had a meeting
He
with
said-
Senator Cook and Senator Burtonshaw.
Talked to Mike this afternoon. He's planning on it.
Yeah, well, is
Yeah.
Donna here?
They've got if you go on there and do that QR code, there's a petition that you can sign there. And
Thanks. all kinds of different ways to try to get the message out to people.
Okay.
I wonder how that would be met by the.
Hmm?
I wonder how that. The support to the general population.
Well, I mean, I've talked to quite a few people about it and I've not met anybody that is really opposed to it. They all recognize the need is greater now than it was 50 years ago.
There's not that many general. This is.
Yeah, most everybody.
It's safer.
Yeah. Yeah, there's not that many people still here that went through that.
I would certainly be supportive.
And obviously, you know,
I mean, by the city council.
yeah. Mhm.
I think that would go a long way. So.
So,
Well, Brad. Colin.
Colin's gone, but but he's, both of them are gonna try to zoom in. Colin didn't know if he'd be able to or not because of, being able to connect to anything where he is. He was gonna try to drive out to a certain point.
David here?
So I don't remember him. He said something about. He got a trip, you know, I was thinking it was later, but. You know. David Reeser.
Oh. You have to come around like still. Down part of that mention, you come back. Was it on a- Before council starts. Yeah, come back.
Councilman, is Mike on?
I'm here, Mayor.
Anyway, I know.
Voicemail. It's a little later.
Stay with us, Mike. You make quorum.
Oh, her name.
Okay.
Yeah, Randall. Oh, is that pretty close to where you? You come back this way. So this is all off of that one hole, that first hole. Or unless you live far down the street. Oh, okay. Left. It's like I told my wife, I said, why should I go? It makes no difference.
Let's see.
Yeah.
Prayers later. Prayer. Chambers, pledge.
Yeah. Doesn't say here. I want you to find one.
There should be two.
Oh, I don't mind it being there. I just want to fix the road. Well, west is this little 2-lane road. And they're gonna add another 500 or 600 cars to that road at 8 o'clock in the morning and 3 o'clock at night. I just wanted to put a wider, better road. So I don't know what their budget is for road and bridge. Maybe they already have plans to do it. We'll see. No, 1, 2, 3. And those 3 members of the council, but like I said, I'm not asking them not to. Leave the school, just put the schools in. Just fix the road. Good luck with your golf course. I was younger, I was about 30 years. Yeah, we were in Boise. Went to a golf, Eagle Hills, it's called.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to our city council meeting as of June 25th, 2025. We're glad to have you here and welcome to our proceedings. We would like to start our meeting this evening with a prayer and a pledge, and I've asked Councilmember Eric Erickson to offer the opening prayer for us, followed by Councilmember Chambers leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Councilmember Erickson.
Our Father in heaven, we are grateful to be here this evening to discuss prayers of our great city. We're thankful for the freedoms that we enjoy that allow us to assemble here and to come together as a community to better our community and improve our situation here. We are grateful for those who are here this evening to voice their opinions and concerns. We pray that as we deliberate on issues that we may do so with concern for all in the city, and that we will be able to discuss things in a civil and appropriate manner. We again are grateful for the opportunities and blessings that we enjoy here in this valley. Pray that continued blessings to be with us as our community continues to grow and as we invite others into our community. And we pray for these things now, inviting thy spirit to guide us in our decisions that we make. Do so in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. We'd like to go ahead at this time with the roll call of the council members, please.
Here.
Here.
He said he was online earlier, so I think, are you still there, Mike?
Here. I'm here.
Council President Walker? Okay, thank you.
And Mayor, I'm on.
Sounds like we've got them both on, so we actually, other than Councilmember Reeser, I believe is on a trip with high school kids or something like that. So we will excuse him this evening, but thank you, Councilmember Walker and Councilmember Colin Erickson for being online with us tonight. We appreciate that. All right, we will go ahead and item number 3 is an item that we need to amend the agenda with. So I would entertain a motion at this time to, as per Idaho State Statute 74-2044B, an amendment to include discussion and review of a possible new urban renewal district under agenda item 8A3. Is there a motion to do so, to amend the agenda?
Mr. Mayor, I will make that motion to amend the agenda.
All right, thank you. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Eric Erickson. We probably ought to do a roll call vote to amend the agenda. So Mariana, would you do that, please?
I have a question first. I just wanted to clarify. This is not an action item, right? It's just discussion. Okay, then yes.
Councilmember Chambers,
Yes.
oh, Councilmember C. Erickson,
Councilmember Colin Erickson, do you vote yes or no to amend the agenda? Well, we apparently we've lost him, so let's go ahead with the rest of.
Yes.
He said yes? Okay.
President Wong,
Yes. Yes.
Thank you. Okay, is that everyone? Okay, thank you. That motion passes, so we will amend the agenda and talk about that item further on down in the items here. Okay, let's move on now to item number 4, which is an employee recognition. I'd like to turn the time over to let's see. Oh, you're right there. Our Chief of Police, Josh Rhodes, for this employee recognition. You're fine right there.
So if I could get Officer Yardley and Officer Camachi to come up here, we'll just be quick here. So this is something we just want to recognize the efforts that our officers put in. The Idaho Post Council, they have created a way for officers to obtain certificates based on training hours and education. And so it's a combination depending upon how much college credit and training hours. And so the minimum is typically for the intermediate certificate that Officer Yardley has obtained, it's a minimum of 1,800 hours of training that's post-approved training hours. So Officer Yardley, he's been with us at the Rexburg Police Department since 2021. He came from Idaho Falls Police Department, joined us in 2021, and he's played a huge role in the department. He's currently one of our SWAT team members. He just went through our instructor development to become an instructor in our arrest techniques coming up. It's one of our drone operators for the SWAT team and just normal drone operator for patrol. So he's doing a phenomenal job, playing a huge part in the department. I have the pin for you later, but this is our certificate for the intermediate certificate that we just want to appreciate your efforts and recognize you for a job well done. So thank you. Thank you. And then
Let's give him a hand. Appreciate that.
Should have made you stand up here a little closer. So Officer Camachi, he's been with the department since 2009. He's done everything. He's a huge asset to the department. Currently, he's working as a school resource officer at the junior high. He's our SWAT commander. He's a canine instructor. He's done canine for about 9 years prior. He's DARE instructor. He does it all. So, but recently, I can't even keep track of the compliments I receive for our community policing, for the officers in the schools, from the teachers, or juvenile probation, the school district, the principals. Our school resource officers do a phenomenal job with the youth of the community, and Ryan's right there in the middle of it. And so the certificate he's worked towards and been awarded through the post is the master certificate. And it requires a ton of time. So it's a combination of years of service, the college credit, and the training hours. And so it's not an easy thing to come by. He's put in a lot of time and effort for the master certificate. And so we want to recognize Ryan for his efforts for the master certificate, and so job well done, and thank you. So we could give both of them a round of applause.
Well, thank you, officers. We appreciate your dedication and all the hard work you put into that training and all that. And we feel like it pays off very well in our in the way our police force is trained and the way you all conduct yourselves. And so thank you for those efforts. And Chief, you too. Thank you. Now, if we just had a new police building to put you in, that would be awesome, right? Yeah. All right. Okay, thank you. Item number 5 is a time for public comment. These are for items that are not on the agenda. We ask anyone who would like to make us aware of anything to come to the podium here, state your name and address. And if you can limit your time to 3 minutes, that would be great. So is there anyone that would like to say anything at this time? Yes.
290 Rodney Drive. A couple of months ago, Christy Thompson and I met with Keith Davidson, who stated that years ago, the city of Rexburg put the LID ordinance to a vote, and it did not pass. Many residents do not recall this item being on a ballot, or more importantly, being told about the ordinance at the time of buying our homes. In other words, few seem to know about the LID ordinance unless they have fallen victim to it. As a result, our committee of homeowners have taken it upon ourselves to canvass door to door almost every home in Rexburg with a flyer explaining the LID ordinance and what it will mean to the homeowner if their street were to be affected by it. So now we know. We understand as homeowners of Rexburg, we are to help pay for our residential street improvements as we would in any city around the country. However, we do not want to pay for the residential street improvements by the use of an outdated LID ordinance. We are willing to pay for it in yearly taxes without interest. Now that the citizens of Rexburg have been educated about this ordinance, we are asking to have it to be put on a vote in the November election this year.
Okay, thank you. We are, I'm trying to think just timeline wise, that might be a doable thing. We'll talk about that and see, if the residents would support a bond, and I don't know if it would have to be a yearly vote bond, or if you can do a 5-year or 10-year, something like that. We would all love it, to be honest with you. But whether that would be supported or not, that would remain to be seen. So, but, we're certainly open to that possibility. And if it's something that can be put on the November ballot, we'll look at those timelines and see if that's possible. So, Okay, thank you for that. We appreciate it.
And I have a question on
Yeah,
that. Mayor.
go ahead.
So if we, even if it's not November, if it's like next year,
Yeah.
what would the next steps be to work toward that?
We just have to talk with the county people and see what we have to do to, to get it on the ballot and find out what, I don't know if, for something like that, I don't know if you have to have a certain number of signatures on a petition or anything like that. We just have to find out what the next steps will be. I don't know. Do you know, Matt or Deborah, the one of you, what that would entail?
You have to do an ordinance for it. There is, deadlines for it. We're going by the skin of our teeth right now for the November.
Yeah.
election.
Yeah, we're trying to get the police bond on the November ballot. And that's the timeline is really tight on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you would have options. You'd be looking at, I mean, we would have to do a permanent override to your levy is what you would have to look at. And I mean, just being honest, because we're going through this process with the police station, I think it would be very difficult to have it on the November ballot that fast.
Maybe we could look at May or something
I
like
think
that.
next year is a more realistic.
To give you an
yeah.
idea,
But
well, and I can talk about it with the police bond, but to give you an idea, we have to pass an ordinance, which we generally 3 read, which means you have three meetings that you meet to pass that ordinance. And you have to let the county know, was it the 28th of August?
The 28th of August, you have to have your ballot question wording done.
So anyway, it's a process. Let's just put it that way. But if we, the November probably, I would say probably is not possible this year or not probable, but maybe the May ballot or something like that. I mean, I think it's possibility to take a look at doing it as soon as we could, because yeah, I mean, the LID system, it's got some advantages and some disadvantages, and some people like it and actually sign up for it. Some people hate it. A lot of people hate it, including us. We don't love it because it's a difficult situation. But if we could get folks to support a bond to be able to do it that way, then hey, that would be in favor of that. So that would be great. Yeah,
Mayor,
go ahead.
We've discussed this quite a bit over the last couple of months. But at one point we discussed having a citizens committee organized that would guide us a little bit in exactly what we would have to put into place to replace the LID. Because to just do away with the LID is it'd take a big chunk out of the streets budget. So there'd have to be some sort of mechanism in place to replace that funding. And I think the discussion has been that it sounds like it would be a citywide bond of some sort that would need to be put into place to replace the funding. Where do we sit with this citizens committee? Sounds to me like
I
the
think
Winds
they made their own.
may have some people that might be interested in being involved in that.
I think so. And I know a couple others I think I sent you that I know would be interested.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought there was only one. But did you send me 2? I only remember
Maybe it
one,
was
but
Tracy and it was Tracy
these 2.
Blair.
Yeah. So, yeah. Okay. Well, anyway, so you're willing to serve on that committee? You too? Okay. That'd be good. Okay. We will take that under advisement. All right. Anyone else who would like to speak? Yes, go ahead. And then you're next. Yeah.
So I actually had 2 things I did want to follow up. I know there's had a lot of discussion with that, but as someone who recently, within the last few years, had to pay for an LID, I would be more than happy to pay taxes so that other people do not have to go through what we had to go through. It was about $10,000 for us, and we worried our whole neighborhood about the older people on fixed incomes. We just worry about most of our whole neighborhood trying to figure things out. So I just want to put it on record that even having paid mine, I am still happy to pay taxes in order for other families to not have to go through that. And then the other thing that I wanted
Did you, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but did you state your name and address? Okay, I'm sorry, I missed that. Okay.
Then the other thing that I wanted to bring up, I know that Brianna had worked on accessible swing for park, and I just wanted to recommend that perhaps more accessibility. We have so many people with special needs here in our area. Our school is just filled with students who could really benefit from that, from older people even who would love to be at a swing set, but they don't have that accessible. And I know that there's been a lot of, I've made it known that I'm really against all of the pickleball courts, but I would love to see some of the money, instead of going to things like that, to going to help our family members with special needs, because there are a lot of them, and we don't have anything for them to do except what, as far as I know, what we've done.
Well, I know it's a modest start, but at Friday at 10 a.m., we are doing a little ribbon cutting at Smith Park for the accessible swing and the whirl, the merry-go-round. They call it a whirl, but that we spent $80,000 putting in Smith Park. It is very expensive. Yeah. Yeah, well, and yeah, we're what I was getting at is you're welcome to attend that if you'd like. It's Friday at 10 a.m. at Smith Park. Yeah, so yeah, thank you. Okay, yes, go ahead. Hey, like we're back in kindergarten.
Jen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I think the conclusion that we came to was that I think, as our city attorney alluded to, the city, I don't believe, is obligated to protect your homes from the golf course. If you build next, or if you move in or build next to a golf course, I think that's on you to be able to protect your property. Having said that, I think the golf board has talked a little bit about trying to maybe do something. Now, I don't know how amenable they are to that. It would depend on budget and everything that they have available to be able to do some kind of mitigation. But when it comes down to the bottom line and the legality of it is, if you build next to a golf course or move in next to one, then the liability of, am I saying that right, Counselor?
That's correct, Mayor. So just an update to the last discussion that we had. And so Keith Davidson and I stated in the last meeting that we would pull it. We pulled the plans that would show any, I guess, what's the right word for it, Keith, encumbrances or limitations on what trees or the height of trees and new trees that can be planted. And so we pulled those and looked at those and went through some of those scenarios. And then it was presented, I think it was it 2 weeks ago, Matt, that we met with the golf board?
Yeah,
so about 2 weeks ago, and we went through the notes from this meeting, had a discussion. We talked, the golf board talked in depth about the idea that you proposed. There was a question as to, even with shortening the distance on hole 3 or hole 4, whatever it is, bad golfers would still find a way. And so there was some questioning as to the difference that would make. I believed it was, there wasn't an action item taken on it. There was some discussion with the groundskeeper about the trees that were there, and kind of left as an open discussion. I think a couple of members of the golf board were going to go and look at that area, but nothing concrete was decided between those two things. But again, I think it's an ongoing conversation, something that not just you, that others have had questions about this year.
So could we put golf balls to the people that hit them at us?
If you can find them, yeah.
Oh, I can find them. Yeah, if there's a-
Oh, you mean throw them back at them? Oh, shit. Well, having been a police officer, I think you probably know the answer to that question. Yeah. You know, I will say, this, I know this won't make you feel any better, but in some of the golf courses I've been to on, you know, in resort places and stuff like that, the homeowners, they'll have these big cages. That's not really a good word. The screen houses on the back of their house where the golfers hit the golf balls in, and they have to do that because of the same reason. You know, the golf course and the community or the city there, I don't think has any liability. I do believe, and I don't know, Spencer, you might correct me if I'm wrong on this, but if you see a golfer hit a ball and hit your house, cause some damage, and you can catch them, I guess you'd say, the personal liability exists, I think, doesn't it?
There's a much better, so not per se, meaning not like a guaranteed, but you have a much better argument, and it comes into that individual would be liable toward any damage. Again, that becomes a much more frequent and realistic thing that happens when, or not realistic, but it occurs more often when a car is hit on Main Street. And then what I talked with our head pro, Cam Garn, and talked about his process, his procedure for what they do when somebody comes in and says, hey, somebody hit my car. We obviously don't want a confrontation to take place on the golf course. And so what he'll do, one of two things, he'll take all the information, and as they come in, they'll ask, hey, did anybody, are you aware if anybody in your group hit it onto Main Street? And they'll have the information and help facilitate that exchange of information. Or at times, they've even locked up the pro shop and had the Rexburg City employee drive out there to where if somebody's certain that it was from a group, and talk to people. Again, that becomes difficult because typically, and Cam has said that they've had it go both ways, where they're very upfront and they are apologetic and they said, yeah, I absolutely hit it in there, and I was afraid that maybe I hit somebody, and they'll exchange that information. He said other times he thinks maybe they did, but then they just deny it. And there's really, not a lot you can do at times when people don't want to be honest with those things. So I think that maybe Cam and the employees at Legacy would be comfortable doing a similar thing if they called the Legacy and said, hey, somebody just struck our window or our car that's in our parking lot, whatever it is. Could you ask the golfers coming around or when they finish their round, if there's anything there? I think that it's consistent with the policy we currently have.
Is there a sign in the golf course that tells golfers that they are liable for damages?
Not that I think, and again, I don't. Again, this is why people don't like attorneys, including myself. I wouldn't put the sign that says that they're liable, because per the law, I can't per se say that they would be liable. And so that is kind of not an always settled argument. It's jurisdiction to jurisdiction at times. Again, when we deal with liability, when we deal with municipalities and liability, when we deal with golf courses and liability, there's a standard of care and an industry standard. And so kind of the municipality's standard of care with golf courses is fitting within that industry standard, in which in our review, we are within that industry standard. And again, we are somewhat encumbered by, even if we tried to, let's say that, we desperately had, we had 50-foot trees or whatever it is that we wanted to plant. We had an excess of trees that we wanted to throw up on that line. Then the airport, the FAA would have a big issue with us doing that. And so we're kind of in between that spot where, we are at standard, and then anything that we try to do, for instance, I mean, people have said, hey, can you put a net by the freeway, or excuse me, by Main Street? And given the location of our airport, that's a non-starter with the FAA. They would not allow it. And again, the land that the Legacy is on is encumbered by the FAA.
Well, I hit my golf ball and it hurt bad.
Sure it did.
The fellow that did hit our dining room window, I was home. Okay, well, anyway, the one time that I was home and went and said, hey, you broke our window. And he says, okay, I'll be right over. After I hit this ball, he hit the next ball in the canal. And he gave his number. I told him how much it was going to cost, and his homeowners paid.
Yeah, and that's what they should do. Yeah.
And good on him for, for working with you and doing those things. And again, I think people in our community and the people that play here, they generally, again, as Cam said, more often than not, he's seen people say, yeah, I think I may have done that. And then we help facilitate that thing, and they kind of work out.
This thing seems to be getting worse.
Golfers are getting worse. I blame, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we do offer lessons, but it sounds like we need to have more people take advantage of them. But anyway, yeah, sorry, but that's yeah, I mean, it's kind of an ongoing discussion with the golf board, and
yeah, I think
we'll talk about
the golf board is kind of again, they're well aware of the situation. There was and there'll be minutes for the golf board. It's a public meeting, so again, so we have it. It's monthly up at the front conference room. Again, it's open to the public. Yes, correct. At City Hall. And Matt, are we meeting once a month even now? Yep. So
it's the second Tuesday of each month in the front conference room here at 4:30 p.m. That's when we do those golf boards.
And we have right now we have a very good golf board where there have been times where there are people who used to play or they're not super engaged in what we're doing. Pretty much everybody on that board, they're avid players. They're great members of our community who really understand the industry, understand what's going on, and they're very productive, good meetings. And then the head pro is there as well, and then the head groundskeeper is there every month as well.
Okay.
The golf
Thank
chair
you.
just stepped out. The chair of the golf board.
Yeah.
He's here.
Is he here?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't see.
He's here. He stepped out.
I'm getting out of here.
I would have turned the time over to him. There's nobody who plays golf more or faster than him.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. At this time, item number 6 is items from the council of committee reports, basically. So, Councilmember Johnson, why don't we start with you, and let's do our committee reports at this time.
Thank you, Mayor. Neither of my committees have met since last report, so I don't have anything new to report.
Okay. All right. Councilmember Chambers.
2 programs coming up. We have on July 3rd at the Tabernacle a patriotic program, which is free to the public from 7 to 8 p.m. And then on July 18 and 19, our Summer Youth Theater program will be presenting Annie Jr. at the Romance Theater. And that's July 18 and 19. The cost of that is $12 a ticket. And then I wanted to show the council a brief video. This is MEPI, Madison Economic Partners. And I'll explain a little bit about this after you watch it.
I've decided to live and stay in Rexburg because it is a great place to live and to raise a family and do the things that I would like to do and build the life I want to build.
One of the best things about Rexburg, I'd have to say we got some good people. There's just a good mindset of people around here that we're like, we can figure out a way to make something work. It's kind of a culture here in Rexburg. We just barely moved to this facility a few months ago. And it's in a place that's growing, and it's just kind of an exciting place to be in.
I attribute all of Siphon's growth to the team that I have around me. And every single one of those team members I have found here in Rexburg.
So it's very short. This is
Don't just see Paris. 3 ways to experience it on Airbnb. 1. Bake with the French bastards. Raphael Elbaz, one of the youngest head pastry chefs in Paris, teaches you how to make.
Trying to get people to move. Trying to get people to move to Paris.
Yeah. Anyway, this is a 43-second mailer that will be sent. We have 25 of these, and we're sending them to companies who most frequently use the Career Center at BYU, Idaho to recruit workers. And the idea is, if you're looking for our talent, why not just come and be in Rexburg? And we'll gauge how that goes, and if it's successful, we'll create more. So.
Great. All right. Thank you. Okay. Councilmember Eric Erickson.
Yeah, my committees have not met either. But I was, at the invitation of the mayor, did attend the Emergency Services Board meeting this last week. I can report that the transition seems to be going fairly well, at least from the fire department's point of view. I think that there will be a few growing pains, and the big item that I think will be something that we're going to probably need to weigh in on is the rewrite of the joint services agreement between the city and the fire board and the ambulance district. And that's an ongoing process, and that's something that legal will need to be involved in. But that's going to be that's something we're going to need to weigh in on, I think, as it comes about. I think they're hoping to have that rewrite done by the 1st of October, right?
Yeah, they're hoping so. And they made a small amendment just so that they could note the new employer as fire district, so they can work with the Social Security specifically right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
thank you for attending that meeting for me. I appreciate that. All right. Thank you. Councilmember Colin Erickson.
Hopefully you can hear me. We just talked about the golf board, a lot of that. That one did meet. The other two, they did not meet, so I don't have nothing else to read from the school board or from the airport board.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Councilmember Mike Walker, Council President Walker.
My committees have not met, so I do not have anything to report.
Okay, thank you. I will say that the Legacy Flight Museum, and Councilmember Reeser, I think, is on that, and he's not here, but we had a successful breakfast at the fly-in out at the airport on Father's Day weekend on that Saturday, and there was a pretty good sized crowd. We fed a lot of pancakes and sausage. Councilmember Chambers, thank you for you and your wife being there to help us with that, and that was a lot of fun. So, and thank you, Deborah, for all of the work you do on that. I appreciate that. All right, let's move on to item number 7 on the agenda, which is a public hearing for a planning and zoning recommendation to approve the annexation of 1036 McJohn Lane into the city of Rexburg. This will be designated as ordinance number 1332 if the motion passes, and will be considered first read. So McJohn Lane, let's go ahead and talk about that item real quick.
Mayor, council members, thank you. This property is located out just north of Pinebrook subdivision. The homeowner was building a new home in the back. He's going to be removing the one in the front. He had to replace the sewer system. He went to District 7 to find out what he needed to do. And they says, you are close enough to city services. We will not grant you a septic system. You need to hook to the city. Standard policy of the city is if you want to hook up, you need to annex in. So he has agreed to ask for that annexation at this point so that we can move forward with that and supply him with sewer.
Okay, thank you. Is there any questions about this item?
from anyone?
Have the adjoining property owners been notified? Have they been given the opportunity to also?
We have
come in?
been through that a couple of times. We did Russell's there on the end. And most of them are not in the mood to want to annex at this time.
I've
did
had
not
a couple
approach
of
them.
people out there asking me how it would affect them, and when I told them that it really wouldn't affect them, they're all fine with it. So yeah. Okay, if there are no other questions, I would entertain a motion to. Well, let's see. We have to do a public hearing, right? So let's move forward with the public hearing. And what we will do is we will take any testimony in this public hearing. First, we'll ask for any testimony in favor, and then any testimony in the neutral position, and then any testimony against this item. So at this time, we declare this public hearing to be open. Is there anyone that would like to testify in favor of this particular item? Is there anyone online besides our council members? Anyone online that would like to testify? Hearing none, is there anyone who would like to testify in the neutral position? If there is no one for that, is there anyone who would like to testify against this item?
Mayor,
Yes.
just to make the council aware, and maybe you saw this, there was a letter from Janet and Merlin Anderson, 976 McJohn, which was opposing the annexation. That letter is in your packets there, so.
Okay, all right. Okay, thank you. All right, is there any testimony against this item? Hearing none, we'll declare this public hearing closed. And at this time, I would entertain a motion to move forward with ordinance number 1332. Is there such a motion?
Could I just ask one question first?
Yes, you
I want to just double check that I understand. This person that was not being annexed, right? They're just living.
That's correct.
Yeah. Okay.
That's correct. Yep. Okay.
Well, I can make a motion that we approve the annexation of 1036 McJohn Lane into the city of Rexburg and designate it as ordinance 1332.
And consider it first.
And consider it
right?
first read.
Yep. Okay. Thank you. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
All right. There's a second by Councilmember Chambers. Any further discussion or questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
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 All right. Any opposed? All right. Motion passes. Thank you. We appreciate that. Move on to item number 8, which is our staff reports. Item 8A is our finance report with our CFO, Mr. Matt Nielsen. Number 1 will be financial reports.
All right, good evening. So I'll just hit these pretty quick. This first one that Deb's pulled up is the cash and investment. Not a lot to add. I don't think that this has really changed since we reported it 30 days too much. I think as I've mentioned to you guys, as we kind of go into the coming years, you'll start to see some of these reserves go down pretty significantly, particularly in water and sewer. But, we have about 13 million kind of in the liquid area, if you will, and then the rest of it's invested generally in that 4 to 5% range. Some of them are slightly lower depending on when we put those in. So anyways, if there's no questions on that one, I'll jump to the treasurer's report.
Can I just make a comment, for those of you here in the audience, we look at those reports and we see several $1 million in reserves and think, wow, we're flush. But when we start talking about water and wastewater projects, you can see 10, 12, $15 million go out the door real quick. So I would like to commend Matt, our CFO, for being as frugal as he can with our cash and trying to save up as much as we can so that we can do these projects that come up on a cash basis and not having to go out to you folks, the public, for bonds and for these type of projects. And so I think that's an important thing to note.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay, so on this report, really, this is 2/3 through the fiscal year. So as you kind of look at that spent column, I went through it, a couple of things that I noted, we were trending a little bit high in some of the public safety, particularly for emergency services. And that's came a little bit more in line with where we should be. So that's good. They've made some improvements on that. And then some of them that are a little high, like sanitation was a little high, and that's simply because of the shop that we're building out there, the capital project, and that's progressing pretty quickly. And so a lot of that expense is happening now. And then we were also a little bit high on the romance side. As I looked at that one, as you look at the capital, we had already pretty much spent all of our capital budget. And so that was part of the reason why that one was trending a little bit high. And then as you look at the last page there, some of the negatives, like airport construction, that one, it's pretty common for that one to go negative because it just takes a long time sometimes to get these reimbursements from the federal government, from the FAA in that case. So a couple of things I want to kind of point out in the totals as you look at the breakout that we do, personnel expenses, operations, and other. So things that I would consider operational expenses really makes up the bulk of what we've spent. That's like 25 million, right? And the total that we've spent, we had another 5 million in capital and then 3 million in transfers, which is, you understand, transfers are just going from one fund to another. So really, if you look at actual expenditures, it's about 31 million. And so a lot of our expenses so far have been operational, wages, benefits, those kind of things, personnel expenses being some of those bigger numbers. But what you will start to see now, from now through the rest of the fiscal year, is we'll start to see a lot more capital expenditures because we're actually out doing the projects now and paying some pretty significant invoices on those. So total spent, we're sitting at about 37% of the budget through May. So any questions on that report?
Questions, anyone? Okay, no, thank you.
Okay. All right, I'll jump to the next. So just to give you guys an update, so the police facility, or police station facility, oh, I think Josh left actually, okay. So we met, we met since we had our last council meeting, and we kind of zeroed in on the per square, or the square footage, the estimated square footage. And then we are hoping in our next meeting, which is in early July, to really have Headwaters come back now and give us the estimated costs. And so they'll base it on that square footage with what's the going rate. And so really, hopefully by the 16th of July, we'll be able to come back to you and show you what we think the total cost of the project is, right? And then as far as the land, we just got the deed back this week from them to review, and we had some discussions with them about fence. So the person we're buying that from, they own the property that's to the south. Part of the condition was that we put a fence between us, and so they want to see a vinyl fence is what they would like to see there. And so we're set to close, I think it was the 8th of July maybe, on that property on Pioneer Road. And so that's kind of where we're at in the process. On the 16th, I think probably someone else will probably be presenting it, so I won't be here that night. But we'll be presenting to you guys really an ordinance that has all of the bond language and ballot measures, if you will. And part of that process is the mayor and I actually discussed with Zions Bank this morning to bring them on as what we call our municipal advisor. It's really a municipal financial advisor. And what they'll do, they'll kind of help us go through that process. They'll help us understand what kind of interest rate to expect in the market. They'll try to forecast that for when that would occur. And then we can take those numbers and really formalize the question that would be asked on that ballot, right? And then we can also start to create analysis of what is this going to cost me if I'm a property owner in Rexburg? And so the big thing that we've been doing is we've really started to kick off educating people on what we're doing. I mean, obviously it's been in the public meetings for a long, long time now, but a couple things that we want to do, as you can see here, we want to start doing a monthly newsletter. And so this is the first newsletter that we would like to put out. And really, as you go through it, it just talks about the process we've went through to get to where we are. It explains a little bit why we're wanting to go to the public with a bond on the ballot. And then we would also stand up a website, which we already have a draft of that website started, but it's going to probably take another 10 days to 2 weeks to kind of get that published and out to the public. And then we talk about why is a new police facility needed. We talk about where we are in the process. And then there's some important dates. And so we would like to propose that on July 10th and August 11th, we just do a police station community open house. So it'd be from 4 to 6. The public could just go to the existing current police station. It gives them an opportunity to visit that, to ask questions and just see what that looks like today, right? The current station. And then we also want to do on July 16th, we'd like to do at 5:30 what we call a city council town hall. And really that would just be an opportunity for people to come. We would try to get all of our consultants here. So the CMGC, the architect, the police would be here, staff would be here. You would be here as elected officials, and then just give an opportunity for the public to ask questions. We could provide by the 16th, that's our hope, is to provide a little more concrete details, right, on costs, and we could share with them, the property that we're purchasing for it. And so those are some of the efforts. And then of course we would push this out on our social media. If you go to the very bottom, if people go on, there's QR codes that can take them directly to the website. And then there's also, we encourage people to go download the app, the city app, because we're going to be putting updates on that as well. So this is the process that we are recommending. And so I guess I'm just looking to you and saying, are there things that you would like to do differently, changes, or are you comfortable with this direction?
Questions, comments? Are you comfortable with this direction, or what's your feedback?
Yeah.
Looks great to me.
Yeah, go ahead.
Are you putting it on social media too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Sarah will push it out on the social media. And then when I say in the newsletter, the way we're going to send that out is it's a little extra cost, but we're going to do it as an insert in the utility newsletters. And then our thought is that we will come back to you guys on the second council of each month with a new newsletter for the next go around. And so I would see us doing this for at least 2 to 4 months. We can do it as long as we want, really. We could do it right up until November if we feel like we need to.
And if you can, if it's possible for you to be at that 16th, July 16th open house, that would be great. Matt and I will actually just be returning from a public-private conference.
Do you mean the 10th or the 16th?
The 16th, that'll be
the town hall or
yeah. Well, actually,
it's the 16th.
Yeah, the 16th would be the town hall.
Okay.
I mean, you'd be there the 10th too. You could help police show people around the police station if you wanted, but yeah, especially those of you who've been on that committee, I think it'd be great to be here and talk with people.
Definitely.
I wonder, I mean, you've got events out through the end of August. I wonder if it wouldn't be advisable to do something, another town hall, maybe closer to the election time.
Yeah, I agree.
Like mid to late September, maybe even mid-October.
Yeah.
Something closer to the election so that reminds everybody to get out and vote.
Yeah, and we can and we probably will. And so as we add September and October and November onto it, we'll be adding items.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
And just one last thing, from a legal standpoint, we have, and I commend Matt and the committee that we put together earlier in the year, we have made sure that we're dotting our I's and crossing our T's with the legality of all of this. And so as we move forward with this newsletter or with open houses, anything, again, it's extremely important for members of this council, members of law enforcement, as they're acting in their capacity, that we're educating, not advocating for this bond. And so again, we can, I can provide legal materials on that. I think, again, these are types of situations where we have to be careful with what we say. And more than anything else, it has been our hope and been, I think we owe it to the public to follow the law precisely when we're doing these things, and that's what we intend to do. And so making sure that if there's any questions that you have, to please run them by myself. And if there's questions with the financing, things like that, run it by Matt, because again, we really want to do this the right way. And I think we owe both law enforcement and our constituents that.
Okay, thank you.
Can I just ask one more question?
Yes.
Just to make sure.
Mhm.
So the tent, though, it's okay if, like, I have a campus thing that I won't be able to make that 10th, but it doesn't.
Yeah,
okay,
you're
that's
good.
okay.
You're
Yeah,
good.
It's just the other
Yeah,
one.
I mean, you guys are welcome to do those. That's just it's just really a walkthrough for them to see the current station, get an
Would be
idea
more
of
like
where
police
we
chief
operate
and
now.
assistant chief, just showing people around. Yeah. Mhm.
Just making sure.
Okay, all right, thank you. So
Okay.
item number 3.
All right, let's pull that. Deb, you want to pull the map? Okay, so this is what we're reviewing here. This is the amended item that on your agenda, but so, which we apologize, we just missed it getting it added on. But we've been working with urban renewal staff probably for 6 weeks, 7 weeks now. And we've talked to several developers as well. But basically, what we're looking at is the formation of a possible urban renewal district on the west side of the highway. And so if you kind of look at it in the middle area there, if you just imagine Main Street and 12th West, and then you go north, it goes up past the golf course up near Pine Brook subdivision. And then if you go to the left, that's a new proposed city subdivision. And to be honest, that one we just added recently. And we just felt like we should add that on there because as you look at the improvements that are needed in that area, the primary one really is the intersection of 12th West and Main. And as we start to see development, particularly commercial development on that acreage that's out there, one of the hard parts is that none of the cars that come out of that are going to be able to make a left-hand turn. And so everything's going to basically go out onto 12th West, right? And so we're going to have to look at widening Main and 12th West. So if you think about like that gas station that's on the corner there, the Mother Hibbard's, just imagine adding lanes on all of that, how much that compacts that area. And so there's going to be some pretty major expense. I mean, even when you do just a traffic signal anymore, can be $700,000-800,000. You've got power lines that would have to possibly be moved as well. And then we have some sewer infrastructure that would help with development in that area if we could get it basically across to the west side, if you will. So those are kind of the big projects. And then the reason why we've included the golf course, that's probably the one we get most questions on, is we are looking to create a pathway that goes all the way up 12th West and connects to the Pine Brook area, if you will. And then the county actually received a grant. They're going to be doing I guess you'd call it a trail, from there all the way up to Hibbard School, that roundabout up by Hibbard School. And so we're looking at really pedestrian connectivity. We're also, the other reason why we included the golf course is we're looking at trails for pedestrians and bikers and those kind of things along the river. And we recognize that, you know, as you try to put those trails in there, there's going to be a lot of added cost because you have a golf course, right? And so there's that. Another project that's pretty major on there is if we had to widen the bridge at the Teton River there, that'd be a major, major cost. And so as we've looked at this project timeline, we got with the attorney for urban renewal. We thought, is this something we can pass by the end of this year? She was like, no way. You're going to be 2026 before you can get this done. So really what we're looking for is for city council to look at this map, think if you think we've missed something, and then we will take this map back to urban renewal. They would meet, I think, the 16th as well at noon in July next, probably. And if they're good with the final map, then what would happen is we have to then go through a lot of steps. We have to take it back we have to formally bring it back to you. We have to take it to the county commissioners. We have to eventually take and do an eligibility study, which takes many, many months. And so anyways, the idea is just, we want you to be aware of it. We want your feedback if you feel like we're missing something in the map area. And it is subject to change as you go through the surveying and the eligibility process.
Mr. Mayor, can I ask a question?
Yes, you certainly may.
I missed our last meeting, so I didn't get a chance to ask these questions there.
Yep.
These are 20-year districts now, is that right?
20 years, yep.
How far does the district go down on 12th, west, south?
It would be, so do you know where we just put our water tank in there over by Summerfield? So that's basically that bottom kind of middle.
South.
Yeah.
Or south.
Okay.
7th, yeah.
Does that run in front of this proposed school?
Yes.
So there's widening potential there. The other question or the other comment I had is, why not include, if we're looking 20 years, the airport property on the east side of Highway 20?
Yeah, so we actually discussed that. The biggest reason why is we felt like that should be in an urban renewal district eventually, but we honestly felt like we would really miss out on being able to generate revenue in that.
Start the clock too early.
Yeah, we started the clock now, and it takes 10 to 12 years to move the airport. Then by the time you start to generate revenues, you may not be able to get any borrowing or bonds or anything approved, because when you try to get those bonds, right, they're going to look at those future revenue streams. And if you've only got 6 to 8 years left on that clock, you might not be able to do what you want to do. And so we felt like we should hold off on that.
Yeah, that makes sense. What do you see in this current district as the principal revenue generators?
Probably going to be, there's a couple of them, but the biggest, I think, is going to be this section here, which is,
right.
You guys know where I'm talking about,
Yeah.
right? So I think, you know, Braun Latham has some there. Mitch Nybar has some property there. Then kitty corner to that, they're putting in the fall, what's it called? The Fall River Medical right now. So all of that behind there would be some primary generators. This area down by our water tank has recently been purchased by the same developer that owns all of Summerfield. And so that would be an area. Same with this.
Doesn't that have to be contiguous though? Or not?
It's connected
That was one of the questions that comes down the road.
Oh, by 12th West, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and that's one of the changes that may happen. We specifically said, as we review this with the attorney, she may make it so you have to pick up Summerfield as well.
Yeah.
We're not going to get anything out of Summerfield because it's completely developed, right? But almost completely developed, but we may have to put it in just to connect that undeveloped piece. And then you have, of course, some pretty large parcel areas here next to the highway. And then as you look north, It would be that subdivision across from Pine Brook. And obviously the golf course is not going to generate anything. So, which is a pretty big chunk of real estate on that map. So.
Yes.
Is there?
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Sorry, go
Question
ahead.
here.
Go ahead.
I'm so sorry. I haven't thought about this for so long that I just need a refresher. So it's when new development happens, you take a portion of that property tax that goes to the urban renewal district?
Yeah. So
Not
what
in
happens?
addition to, right?
So what happens is you just basically, you take a snapshot when it's formed,
Uh-huh.
and whatever value is there, we call that the base. That will continue to go to all of the taxing entities, right? And then there's some rules, like the schools have to be held harmless. There's a new law this year that ambulance and fire districts can opt out, and so they may not be included. And then any increase is what we call increment. And so the revenue is basically coming from that increment. And so generally you can maybe get a little as values go up, but generally you're not going to really generate anything unless you have new development occur. And the idea is with an urban renewal is we're getting out in front of it. We're putting the infrastructure in place to support that new development. And then the new development comes, and then as they pay that increment, guess who's paying back that bond or paying for those improvements? It's the very people that developed, right? But they're doing it through the term of that urban renewal district. So that's how it works.
Yeah, and actually, thank you for that question, because I was gonna kind of say what Matt just said so that the public understands what urban renewal districts do. They're kind of designed for new development to pay for themselves, so that we're not asking the already existing public to pay for new development. That the money to develop and to put in the infrastructure for this new development comes from the increased value that comes when that area is developed, and then that goes into a fund to help pay those bonds back. So it's
one of the one of the nice things about these districts is after the 20-year period, when that property value goes back to the rolls, it drives everybody's levy down.
Yeah, it actually goes back on our new construction roll, which means we can add to our budget, right? And that's probably one of the biggest misconceptions is people hear urban renewal and they think they're going to pay more money in taxes. And we're like, no, you're not going to pay more money in taxes. It doesn't change the way that your property taxes are figured, right? Calculated and then or allocated. And so anyways, hopefully that helps.
Yeah, so instead of it going to the city and county, it goes to that district.
Correct.
But the same rate.
Yeah, and an important thing about these districts, the laws have changed enough now that you have to be very specific about what your projects are. And so as we go through the process, we're going to get a very detailed list of the projects, and we're going to work with the county commissioners as well, because they have to sign off on it as well. And they're going to be looking at it and saying, does this benefit us as well? I don't think they're going to be able to argue that improvements on 12th West and Main aren't going to benefit, city and non-city residents, because a lot of that traffic is coming from non-city residents. So
one of the things I would mention too is the Idaho legislature. There's not a lot of folks that have served in cities in the legislature. A lot of them are county commissioners or just folks in general, and sometimes they struggle with urban renewal because they listen to people who say, well, it's money is not going to the right place, and they don't really understand how we use it to help develop infrastructure and help new development pay for new development. And so the legislature oftentimes trying to limit urban renewal and trying to put new rules on it and making it more difficult to use. And it's really one of the only tools we have as a city to be able to put in new infrastructure and pay for it without having to come to the taxpayers and say, hey, we need a bond to put in this new sewer system. Well, we don't feel like that's a correct thing to do, because we don't feel like it's good for the existing property owners to pay for, the new development. It should pay for itself. And so I guess what I'm saying is anytime you have an opportunity to speak with legislators and the subject of urban renewal comes up, just so that, to help you be able to understand what it does for us, I think is a good thing. So, yes.
I have another, but did you ever get to ask your question?
No,
Good question.
but go ahead.
No, you go.
I'll get to it.
No, you go next.
There's another urban renewal district to the south, correct?
Yes,
On
Yeah.
University Boulevard?
correct.
Okay, so that's covered in another,
Yeah, and that one's actually, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's a 30-year term on that one. It might be a 25 or 30, but it's more than the 20.
Okay.
But yeah, there is.
okay.
Okay. Yes, go ahead.
So you said, so widening 12th West would be one of their proposed goals,
Yeah, particularly at that intersection. Like it wouldn't be all of 12th
not
West.
all of 12th West.
No,
Okay.
but the main thing would be at that intersection.
Okay.
And hoping to move that traffic box and widen out highway, Main Street right there, Highway 33 too, so that we could have 2 lanes coming off at 12th West would make it a lot better right there. So,
Yeah, we just see, in fact, we looked at Justin brought the traffic numbers to urban renewal, and I mean that middle intersection is busy.
Yeah.
You get a lot of
Tell me
cars
about
through there. And it's only going to get worse with all the development that continues to occur on the west side.
As you consider projects for this particular district, the widening of the bridge across the canal on 12th West,
The canal or the river?
the canal,
Okay.
that's a bottleneck or will be a bottleneck with the increased traffic.
Okay.
We'll discuss that here in a minute because I got some real heartburn over that. But that's a project that is going to need to be done
Okay.
sooner than later.
Yeah. Yeah, we mentioned canal. I don't know that we got that specific about the bridge, but we have canal, covering or moving canals as part of this. So.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, all right. Thank you, Matt. We appreciate that.
Okay.
Okay, next item on the agenda is item 8B, Public Works Report with our Public Works Director, Mr. Keith Davidson.
All right, thank you, Mayor. So I just have one item on the agenda tonight. And that's just, I've had conversations with our street department. We have a bunch of items that we have not used for a long period of time that we're looking at surplusing. This first one, I did have a conversation. We're going to look at not surplusing that plow blade at this time. So that's going to be taken off that surplus list.
We're gonna take that one off?
Yep.
Okay.
Which one did you say?
The snowplow attachment, that one right there. Or wait, yes. Oh, the truck snowplow, right? Yeah.
Yep. So we're going to strike that one from the list.
Okay.
But the rest of them on the list are items that we have not used for a number of years, and we're just trying to clean up the area down around our street shop. And so we have several items that haven't been used. This is an old stacker conveyor belt that what was really that we want to get rid of, we don't use. This is an old kind of gravel spreader for like paving and things like that. We haven't used that, I think, since I started working here. Here's an old snow or attachment for a backhoe that we don't utilize anymore. I don't think it fits our current backhoes with that, so we'd like to surplus that. That's just the front of it. This is just the front of a truck that we no longer
Showing the
have. So
part of it.
obviously, this is a good item to get rid of.
Make a nice yard ornament.
Yeah.
For you, Dave.
Yes. So this is an old paint truck that we no longer use. And so we're looking at surplus in that. That's just. So this truck, the engine no longer works. We're looking at if the transmission has some value, we'd pull the transmission, but we'd get rid of the truck. So.
Okay. All right.
Wasn't there
Is that
something
it?
like
In the pictures?
sweepers? Okay. All right. So those are all the pictures. We do have some old sweepers down there that are no longer in use as well that we're wanting to get rid of and kind of clean the area up, especially with the new sanitation shop going in and kind of rearranging where we store different things, different items down
Okay.
at the Rexburg street shop and sanitation shop.
Okay, so do we need to add sweepers to this list here?
Yeah, did you not have them on there? Yeah.
I just.
Yep.
Okay.
Thinking.
All right, we'll put,
Okay.
we got two of those,
Put them on there, but
two of those,
yeah.
two sweepers. Okay, we'll put those on the list. Okay, surplus items. If there's no other further questions on that, I would entertain a motion to go ahead and surplus these items.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we surplus the items that we discussed here.
All right, thank you. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second.
Seconded by Councilmember Johnson. Any further questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
All right, thank you. That motion passes. We will move on to item number 9, which is, thank you, Keith. Appreciate that. The mayor's report. Just a couple of things. I would reiterate what Councilmember Chambers said about the July 3rd Independence Day program at the Tabernacle. That's always a very inspirational program, and I would encourage anyone to bring your family and attend that. I think that would be very worthwhile. Today we met with Senators Cook and Burtonshaw from the Idaho legislature. Senator Cook is from Ammon, and Senator Burtonshaw is from out in the Ryrie area, I believe. But if you would like, I have some little postcards here, if you'd like to get one afterwards or before you leave. Or actually, Deborah, would you take a few of these and just put them on the back table back there if anybody wants to grab one on their way out? This is it's an initiative that we're trying to move forward about water storage in Idaho. As you recall from the news last year, there was a water call, and a lot of our irrigators in this area and on down the valley were threatened with having to shut off the water to their crops. And so we're working on ways to look at more long-term storage of water in Idaho, in East Idaho specifically. And we are, Senator Cook specifically is putting together a petition for people to go on and sign if they support this initiative. One of the items of which would be the consideration of rebuilding the Teton Dam to try to get more water storage, flood control, which, I know people always think that's kind of an oxymoron of flood control to rebuild the Teton Dam, but if it's built right, it would definitely be good for flood control and to help the river. Actually, our river kind of dries up in the summertime, and it would help the river to be a more continuous flow. There'd be recreation, maybe power generation benefits. So there's a lot of reason to support that, and hopefully that's something that folks in the area will support. We need to generate a lot of support in the area to show our congressmen in Washington, D.C. that it is something people are behind here, and that we would like to see it done, because it literally takes an act of Congress to get a new dam built. And so that's something that I would encourage you to pick one of these up, and if you feel so inclined, to go on there and sign the petition to support that. And I'm happy to, later on after the meeting or anything, if you have questions about that, I'm happy to entertain those questions as well. We've been busily preparing for BYU Idaho has a YSA conference going on tomorrow and Friday, and they wanted to do some service projects, and so our Parks Department especially has been busy preparing for an influx of young folks to come help them do a lot of different projects that we need to have done. And so we've been trying to get all prepared for that. So you may see a lot of people out picking up things or cleaning up things or doing a lot of things for the next couple of days. There's a lot of different projects that we're having them help us with, and we appreciate them for that, actually. So item number 11, or excuse me, item number 10 is the planning and zoning recommendation to approve the conditional use permit to allow a school in a low-density residential 1 zone located at 301 South 12th West. We will ask our planning and zoning administrator, Mr. Alan Parkinson, to brief us on this item.
Thank you, Mayor. Gem Prep approached us. They have been looking for a place in Rexburg to put a charter school, and they have identified the Birch property located on 12th West as a place that they feel fits what they want to do for their school. They have met with us, showed us their preliminary plans, how they're going to handle traffic, different things like that, stacking, all the different parts of it. We presented this to planning and zoning during the hearing, and really the only questions were traffic on it. Everybody was in support of the school. They just had some questions about traffic. And so they have recommended it to you guys for approval. And I would answer any questions if you have any.
Questions? Anyone have questions for Alan?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So it sounded to me like there has not been a traffic study done yet, correct?
They are doing one right now.
Okay.
In fact, I think they've already turned it in, haven't they?
Yeah, they did turn it in. There's a few items that we sent back to them for additional clarification.
So my concern is on the south end of the property, where it butts up against the canal. As traffic approaches this, and I understand the traffic flow really comes in from the south entrance. That's where the main traffic flow for all buses and drop off is on that south entrance.
We
right?
have the site plan here for you to look at.
Yeah.
And you can see on the south end, that is an entrance that they can come in on. They loop up, the buses come to the back. She's gonna make.
But they come off 12th West on the south.
Come off 12, come into here. This is where the buses will loop through and drop students off, and then they will exit. People dropping off or picking up children will come in here. They have created a double lane stacking. I believe it was 104 cars that they can stack in there. After dropping them off, then they will exit to the north.
Yeah.
Remove. And then students that are driving, because this is K through 12, students that do drive will be able to come in and park in this area to access the school in there.
So my concern is about that south entrance to the property. The canal, I've been out there and looked at it. I mean, the canal is the bridge over the canal is a certain width.
Mm-hmm.
And without a turn lane on 12th West there, it's going to be a bottleneck of people coming from the south, making an immediate turn into there, and then traffic from the north also coming and having to make a left-hand turn into the property without a turn lane, and the narrowness of that bridge. That's my concern.
Well, and that's what the traffic impact study will look at. And if it deems necessary that they put in a egress, whatever, they're coming off of the road, they'll put another lane in for them to pull off and to be able to exit through there. And that may require widening that bridge on that canal so they can.
And that's something that I would hope that a traffic study would
I think
look at.
Did they show that on the plans, the widening of the bridge right there?
I think they showed the widening. They had that going on.
They have to show the widening of the bridge itself.
Yeah, because the canal that runs north and south will either be put under culvert or it will be shifted to the east to give them enough clearance to build out that side of the road to the proper width. So that they can put in curb, gutter, sidewalk, all of the things they need to meet the standards that we have in our engineering standards.
Well, if they're widening that bridge and providing for that type of ingress, that was my only real concern.
Go ahead, yeah.
Well, so I did look at that was in the P and Z packet, the staff report, and it asked the question, will this stress existing roads? And the answer was yes. And I lived there. I read all the stuff that got submitted, all those letters. It was all of my neighbors. And I'm sorry, but all those cars have two ways out. And it is going to be a nightmare. I traveled to campus at 7:45 a.m. and it's already, you can barely make it through the interchange to get into the city, the actual city part. It gets gummed up. I just can't imagine putting more cars on there. We have two ways out. And in planning and zoning, Leon Parson brought up going across 7th South. No one told him that is not a viable option right now. I understand we're looking into it. There is not a plan. We don't have any way to say even a timeline on that. So I mean, I think that should have been mentioned in the meeting.
It was explained to Leon. We spent quite a while afterwards. He had heard that it was a future one. We told him we don't know when or if that's going to happen. We had a plan to look at it. That funding got pulled. So we could not, which says we can't even give you a timeline.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, because I was hoping people didn't think that was viable. But I mean, I think that our job, and I think planning and zoning's job, I heard a lot about like this school would be great for the kids. I agree with that. I really do. But they're supposed to look at land use, and I don't understand how if we don't have the traffic report, and I don't understand how you can put more cars on there. I don't, for the times of day when, like, if I need to travel when the high school's getting out, I just know I can't. I have to, if I'm on a tight time, because there are all these cars going on there and they have nowhere to go. They have two ways out. So it's just not the timing isn't right. Maybe we get the urban renewal and things like that later, but there's no guarantees on that. So
you're going to have development along that road all along. There's other developments happening. This is one of those that comes along. The road will be built to meet those. They will have to follow whatever that traffic impact study says. So it's not something we're just going to drop and cause more problems. They're going to have to mitigate that in their construction.
So are they going to mitigate it at the two ends then to get on the highway? Because that's where the problem's going to be. They have nowhere else to go but out those two ways. Where are all those cars going to go? How can they mitigate that?
Well, they're going to do their part. The road is not, Keith, you can answer this more than I can. My understanding is the road is not in a failure stage. It has room for more capacity.
There's a difference between, I'm stating my opinion.
No.
I'm sorry. I have
You're okay.
concerns.
And I like to hear that.
Yeah. And other people have concerns.
Yes.
I read them all, and it's the people that live there, and it's because we know that there's a problem. If you look at the road for the entire day, there's not a problem. If you look at it when people actually travel on it, which is the times when school gets out and when school starts, there is a problem. So.
And I've driven the road. I had to take my granddaughters to the high school multiple times. So I've traveled through there during that time frame. I never had a problem in doing it personally. And I was going through at the time when all of the school kids were going in and out, the school buses, the whole bit. Now that's my personal opinion.
Yeah. Well, I traveled every day. There's also children. We don't.
To the canal.
Sometimes they do.
There's no sidewalk and children walk down that. And that's just going to put more cars on there without a way to have the children, walk safely. So for me, there's the concerns.
Yeah, there's no doubt that 12th West will continue to have more and more pressure on it. As Summerfield develops, as the new, as I think Karchner's have purchased that big section there that I'm assuming will again develop into more and more homes.
Yes.
And so there's no question, we really need to have some sort of a plan to treat the problem of 12th West, because it will become more and more of a problem as development occurs. Now, in this particular case, it looks to me like they have widened the road. They'll do that on their dime. What
Yeah, that's not really.
is a school like this
You know, one thing.
exempt from property taxes?
That's a good question. I'm assuming because it is a charter for the state. They charter with the state to do this. So we're assuming, but we don't know.
You're assuming that they
are exempt. Mhm.
It's not a private school, it's a charter school.
It's a charter school.
Right.
You know, one thing that might help a little, it's not gonna help a lot, but maybe in the future is, I know next summer, the county is planning on putting a university on through to 3000 West. So some of the people that are coming from the west and coming to 12th West and coming down from both directions will be able to come in to the high school from that way. So that'll alleviate a little bit of
You're
traffic.
supposed to start on that this fall with
Oh, yeah.
final paving next year.
And then, yeah, and so hopefully that'll help some. But I think I agree with Brianna in the fact that I think that corner of 12th West and Main or Highway 33 really needs to be a priority. We need to really get with Idaho Transportation Department and hit that hard right away, because if we get that corner fixed, that would relieve a lot of the bottleneck that happens, because you know, you can, like Councilmember Johnson said, a lot of times you can only get one car through the light turn, and so then the stack gets pretty bad there. So
that is a
I
problem.
think there's, but then, and that's really what the traffic study is supposed to do, is make those recommendations. And once you have it kind of delineated in a traffic study like that, that gives us more teeth, I guess you'd say, with ITD to be able to put some pressure on to funnel some funds that way to get that done sooner, and which I think we need to do, definitely.
Well, and just for your information, their traffic study was done when school was still in session. So they wanted to make sure they were capturing the high school, the elementary, and all the traffic that was happening at that time.
And I have a question. It wasn't during spring break, was it? Because I saw some.
Wasn't spring
Okay.
break. It was when they were actively, kids were in school. Mhm.
Schools, it looks like. 62-02E.
Can't hear you, Deb.
It says in Idaho statute 63602E that charter schools are property tax exempt. So
I just have one.
That's
Can I
not
just
good news.
say one more thing?
Yeah, go ahead.
I think so. Widening of 12th West, we talk about it. The more that we put out there, the more there's going to be a need for that. And then the houses are so close on 12th West that that's like a problem in and of itself of how you're going to widen it and keep the neighbors' property theirs. So to me, it's like a bigger problem because we're putting things out there, and I haven't heard of the way that we're going to widen that without a problem. So, I mean, can you widen that without cutting into those homes there? Like they're right up against the road.
Do you have anybody in particular?
Like Leon Parson.
Yeah, that one's probably the closest.
But his
And,
still meets the requirements of putting in the full width of the road, and he would still have curb, gutter, sidewalk, landscape strip, and the 20-foot setback as a standard lot.
You're saying it wouldn't cut into his?
It would cut into their yard, but it wouldn't take him out of compliance as a lot. He would still meet the requirements.
And I've talked with them about figuring out a way to be able to mitigate that somewhat. You know, we talked about that, and there's some things they could do, but I mean, it definitely would bring the road quite a bit closer to their front door. But
and would it take? But it would take some of their property, wouldn't it?
Correct.
Okay. See.
But it wouldn't be a taking. That would be something we would have to purchase.
Yeah, but they would have to agree to it unless we decided to do it a different route. So I'm just saying, like, I have talked to these people. I live by them. They have super major concerns about that. Like, I know Leon really well. And so I feel like we're causing this thing that I don't see the way out in a way that is favorable. So
there's some things they could do that would mitigate it.
And I spent some time with Leon. I actually went out and spent a couple hours at his house Cause he asked me, he says, come out and tell me how it's gonna affect me. And we went out and he walked through the whole thing. And after the meeting, we spent probably 20-30 minutes talking it through. And after he understood that, he goes, oh, now I understand better. Understand. He says, I may not like it, but he says, I see that it's doable. So again, it's not what he wants, but it's something that eventually we're going to have that discussion, not just on this road, on multiple roads within the city. We're going to run into the same challenge. Second East is going to be a disaster when we have to go to Walgreens up to the hill because we're going to be putting stuff right on people's doorsteps. We have to figure out how to thread that needle at the same time. So it's just one of those challenges you face no matter what when development's coming into your town, because that road's going to get widened one way or the other, whether it's the school, whether it's more homes, whatever, that's going to get built out to that maximum size at some point. So we still have to figure out how do we do it. Do we shut down one group simply because it's bringing that a little quicker than we're used to? Something that's eventually going to happen no matter what. That's the decision you guys have to make, I guess, at this point.
Okay.
Mayor?
Yes.
The biggest thing right now, in my opinion, is the 12th West to Main Street. We need to really pressure the state. We got to get that changed sooner than later to have that with the turn lanes, especially with the medical center going in next to it. So that would free up a whole bunch of traffic getting onto Main Street if we could do that.
Yeah, I totally agree. That's what we talked about earlier. So yeah, I think concur with that. Any other comments, questions? All right. Hearing none, then I would entertain a motion to move forward with this particular item if there is such a motion. Is there anyone that will?
Any discussion, Mayor? I do have some comments about this.
We don't really have a time for discussion here. That was done in the planning and zoning meeting, and we really can't have discussion here because we don't have the other party here to have a pro and a con discussion.
The John Street situation where you
That was an annexation here, public hearing. And the public hearing for this particular item took place in the planning and zoning meeting a couple of weeks ago. So, yeah.
And there was not one person that spoke in favor of it. The situation was exactly what's already been explained, that every person that wrote in complained about the streets. They don't care about the school. They just don't know how a school for 600 kids is not going to seriously impact that. And I was hoping to come and appeal to the city council that you guys get off your duff and get something done on that street.
Well, thank you. We appreciate that compliment, and we'll take that into account. Okay. If there are no further questions or comments, I would entertain a motion to move forward with this item. Is there such a motion?
Mayor, I make a motion that we approve the conditional use permit.
All right, there is a motion on the table to approve the conditional use permit located at 301 South 12th West. Is there a second to that motion?
Mayor, if I could just for a moment, I do think just even with that kind of informal public comment, because the applicant is here, I think that given that we've taken again, a minimal comment from the public here, that the applicant should have an opportunity to respond to that comment that was made.
Oh, I wasn't aware the applicant is here.
So if you do have any response to that comment, then again, I think you have a procedural right to be able to do so.
Okay, yeah. Sorry, I didn't realize that's who you were. My bad. If you would introduce yourself, that would be great. For the record.
Jason Brantz, I'm the Chief Executive Officer of Gem Prep Schools. We have 7 schools currently around the state. You've read this in your packet, so I'll spare you that information. I think one thing that was shared in the comment that was just shared was that There was no one for this in the planning and zoning hearing, and I'd like to actually focus on the fact that while there were letters received for the planning and zoning hearing that were in opposition to this project, there were only comments made in support and neutral during the planning and zoning hearing for actual live comments received at that. And folks are generally excited about the school, and we are taking every step that we can within the resources that we have to address traffic mitigation. And so we're doing our very best to be good neighbors to make this work. And our margins are thin. We're a public school in Idaho, funded publicly in generally the same way as traditional schools are funded, except we do not have access to local bond and levy dollars. The way that local schools will take their base funding that they do get from the state and then ask local taxpayers to supplement that with supplemental levies or to bond to build schools. We do not access any of those local dollars. And so one of the benefits of charter schools, and this is not just true of our charter schools, but of all charter schools, is that we increase the capacity in a community to serve more students without increasing the local debt burden through additional bonds or levies. So anyway, it's a great opportunity for the community. There are great schools around the state. Every year when the top 10 list is published of top 10 schools in the state, gym prep schools dominate that list. And I anticipate with the excellent families we have in Rexburg, this would also be one of those schools that are going to consistently show. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, yeah, you bet. Thank you. Appreciate you being here. Okay. All right. Okay. So we have a motion on the table. Is there a second to that motion? We've heard both a comment pro.
I'll second it.
Okay, seconded by Council President Walker. All right, is there any further comments or questions at this point in time? Yes.
I'd just like to say, it's going to be a no for me not because of the school. I don't have a problem with that, but the plan does not address to me what the problem is. The problem is not getting the cars on and off 12th West. It's getting them where they need to go after. And I don't see how that's going to address that because it doesn't. So.
Okay, comment. Thank you. Duly noted. Any further comments or questions?
Yeah, I mean, I've been on the fence a little bit with this, but after reviewing the letters that were written and reviewing the testimony at P&Z, I don't see a groundswell of non-approval by the citizens that either live out there or apart from the other places. So I think I'm swaying more towards approval. I'm just putting faith in Keith and his boys to get the 12th West situation figured out sooner than later.
Yeah, and it's really the intersections, as Councilmember Johnson has noted, that are the mainly the 12th West and Main, as both Councilmember Johnson and Councilmember Colin Erickson mentioned, and me, that we know that that's the biggest bottleneck and the biggest problem right there. And so that'll be our number one priority. So we will pledge to you that we will get off our duffs and see what we can do to get that done as soon as possible.
Just a question about the timeline.
We're not doing any more public comment right now.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, timeline, that's something you can talk with the gentleman after the meeting if you'd like. But construction projects don't happen overnight, so I'm sure it'll be a while before, and that will give us a little bit of time to be able to work on this issue as well. So, all right, is there any further comments or questions? We have a motion and a second on the table. If there are none, I will call for a vote at this time. All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, we've got 3 ayes. I have Councilmember Colin Erickson. I didn't hear you. All right, any opposed?
Aye.
Okay, that sounded like an aye.
Repeat that again.
Well, we've got 3 ayes and I think
A no.
1 no.
Yep.
So that motion would carry with or without Councilmember Collins. I think he said aye, but I couldn't hear him very well. I know he's not got a very good connection where he's at. So anyway, that motion passes. So we will, okay, all right, so that's a yes vote as well. Okay, so that motion passes. Thank you. And thank you for being here, everyone that is here concerning that item. We will move on to item number 11, which is, let's see, the tabled item for the Stadium 250 event. We have been talking more with the county and things about that, but we're not ready to take that off the table yet. So unless anyone wants to. So we'll move on to item number, let's see, we have no second readings. We have 1 third reading, which is ordinance number 1331, cost of living salary increase for mayor and city council as of January 1st, 2026. Is there a motion to consider ordinance 1331 third read?
Mr. Mayor, I move that we consider ordinance number 1331 for third read.
Thank you. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Chambers. Any further discussion on that item? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that motion carries. And we will move forward with that. Item number 12 is the consent calendar, which includes the minutes from the June 4th, 2025 meeting and the approval of the payment of the City of Rexburg bills and the fireworks stand, Big Bang Fireworks at 901 North 2nd East. Is there any questions about any of those items before we move forward with the consent calendar? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to do so.
I'll make a motion that we approve our consent calendar, pay our bills, and approve the fireworks stand.
Thank you. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Eric Erickson. Any further questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, we'll go ahead and enter the minutes, pay the bills. And before we adjourn, I would just a small discussion here. I guess I could have done this in mayor business, but the 4th of July is coming up. We have 5 carts. I believe that everyone, let's see, Eric Erickson, you said you don't need a cart, right? And I don't need one, so we've got 5. We're going to let the Chamber of Commerce has requested, I think 12, but we told them we only have 7 for them to be able to use, and they said they could get by with that. The hospital has one they can use as well, so that helps them. So we've got the parade. As usual, we will meet at the junior high, the car there. You can stop by here and pick up your key, or if you forget, I'll try to grab them and just bring them with me too. So, but if you want to stop by and grab your key, that would be great.
Wait, we never done that before. We're supposed to stop here and pick up the key.
You didn't? What? So, oh yeah, I think Mike actually picked them all up.
In fact, I can pick them up, Mayor.
Okay, yeah, that's right. I forgot that you do that. So, yeah, just show up and we'll have the keys for you there. So that's the 4th of July and oh yeah. Yeah, let's return them just as quick as we can to the same spot so we can get them back out to the golf course.
And 9 a.m. is when we're supposed to be there.
Yeah, the parade starts at 10, so you need to be there. Yeah, if you want to go early to decorate them or whatever, yeah, that'd be.
They want us there we can go there as early as 8:15.
As early as 8:15. Okay.
Yes.
You can get yourself out of bed and get there early.
And we're number 9 in the parade.
Number 9 this year. Okay. All right. Is there any other items, just general items that anyone needs to bring up before we adjourn? Okay. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate those of you who have been here with us tonight. We are adjourned. Okey-dokey. And a signature for that? Oh, can you show me? We're still with that. But... 6:20.